Hello everyone, I'm Joyce Lee, and I am one of the 3 members of the NGO Protect Our Children, and we are currently raising awareness of the Ugandan LRA conflict. So today, I will be talking about the 5 dimensions of the Uganda LRA conflict. Well, what does LRA stand for? LRA stands for Lord Resistance Army. Well, before you watch this video, make sure you subscribe and hit the like button so you could stay updated to our latest videos. Here's a little introduction about this conflict. So, the Ugandan LRA conflict is a conflict that started from 1987, and it is still happening now. And children in this conflict are being abducted and become slaves of different types and child soldiers if they are captured by the LRA. So this is a really severe issue as the human rights of children are being violated. Not only children's rights are being violated in this very conflict, adults' human rights are also being violated. So after this video, I hope that you are more aware of this conflict and you are willing to help and take action about it. Dimension 1. How many parties are involved? So there are 3 parties involved in this conflict. The LRA, Lord Resistance Army, Ugandan government, and the Southern Sudan government. The Lord Resistance Army is an organization led by Joseph Kony. This organization is a terrorist organization that is a threat to the Ugandan government. The Ugandan government, led by Yoweri Museveni, the president of Uganda, was involved in a series of rebellions against Idi Amin in 1971 to 1979 and Milton Obote 1980 to 1985 before he got his power. When Yoweri Museveni took over the power as president, the community of Uganda was rather peaceful compared to previous rulers, even though they were still in poverty and the system was corrupted. The South Sudan government is an ally of the LRA, and without their support, the LRA would not have been able to overthrow Yoweri Museveni and take over Uganda. Dimension 2. What are the sources of conflict? Well, the first source of the conflict is the LRA, Lord Resistance Army, wanted to get resources such as food, land, and military power. And the second source of conflict is that the LRA wanted to take over Uganda and overthrow the Ugandan government with the help of military power of Southern Sudan. Well, as you can see on the right, the leader of LRA is Joseph Kony, and here's a picture of him. And the picture further to the right side is the president of Uganda, called Yoweri Museveni. And he is the president since 1996 until now. Dimension number 3. What is the relationship between conflicting parties? Well, the relationship between the LRA, Lord Resistance Army, and the Southern Sudan government is very good and positive, as they support each other and their allies. And the relationship between the Ugandan government, the LRA, and the Southern Sudan government is filled with hatred, as they are enemies, and the LRA and Southern Sudan government want to overthrow the Ugandan government. Dimension 4. What is the history of the conflicts? Well, as you can see on the timeline here, in January 1986, Yoweri Museveni became president after 4 years of political chaos. Well, back then in 1986, Yoweri Museveni wasn't the official president, but because he had the greatest military power at that time, therefore he was the ruler of Uganda. In January 1987 to 1991, Joseph Kony formed the LRA and invaded into many villages and abducted children to become child soldiers. In March 1991, Yoweri Museveni formed Operation North to stop the LRA's attacks. But this operation wasn't able to stop the LRA, as the LRA got military support from the Southern Sudan government and they were too weak to face the LRA. in February 1994 to 1996, the LRA moved bases to Southern Sudan after negotiation with the Ugandan government. Well, why did that happen? Because the Ugandan government told them not to attack and abduct children that much in Uganda, so they moved bases to South Sudan. And when they moved to Southern Sudan, their attacks and abduction of children escalated. And in 1996, the Ugandan government put citizens in displacement camps that are supposed to be safe, but the living conditions there are really horrible, and the citizens living there are treated as criminals. But they did not commit to any crime. They were just victims of a conflict that wasn't even related to them. And in 2006, which is 10 years later, both sides of the LRA and the Ugandan government agreed to temporarily stop fire. Well, did that actually happen? Actually, it didn't, because the LRA would sometimes still abduct children from villages, but there weren't as many attacks and casualties caused from this conflict. And finally, Dimension 5. How do we choose to deal with the conflicts? Well, in 1991, the Ugandan government created Operation North to stop the attacks of the LRA. So that was the start of the conflict. So the first way the Ugandan government thought of was to stop the LRA from attacking. But what they did was just fighting with the LRA, and there was still a lot of violence. And in 1994, the LRA set bases in Southern Sudan after negotiation with the Ugandan government, as the Ugandan government told the LRA to stop doing that many attacks. But then in 1996, the Ugandan government decided to prosecute the South Sudan government for supporting the LRA, and also charged the LRA Joseph Kony for committing to war crimes. And finally, in September 2006, both sides took a more peaceful approach instead of fighting, and they both agreed to stop fire. Well, that didn't really happen because there were still children being abducted to become child soldiers and slaves. So, finally, I hope that you were more aware of the situation in Uganda, and hope that you could take action about it. You can take action by donating to UNICEF. And here's the bibliography of the presentation. Thank you for watching. And make sure you subscribe and hit the like button for the video and support our YouTube channel. Thank you very much.